This is The Scoop for Wednesday.
I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines. Last night, all members of the Sarasota County School Board voted to ask fellow board member Bridget Ziegler to resign, with the exception of Ziegler. She confirmed with legal counsel Patrick Duggan that the resolution requesting her to resign would not be legally binding and asked, quote, if it had any teeth.
This board has no ability to remove one of the other members.
Thank you. Well, I'd like to move to call the question.
Nobody seconded her motion. Board member Tom Edwards, who in the past Ziegler had attacked for being gay, called for a focus to be placed on students instead of the scandal, calling it a distraction. Ziegler, a founder for Moms for Liberty and a proponent of banning certain books in schools and discussion around gender and sexuality in the classroom, has repeatedly been called a hypocrite at the board meeting following the revelation that she and her husband both engaged in an extramarital affair involving another woman. That same woman has accused Ziegler's husband of rape, and a police investigation is ongoing, although no charges have been filed. One of the speakers calling out Ziegler for his hypocrisy was Nicholas Machuca of Equality Florida.
Bridget Ziegler has worked relentlessly to target LGBTQ students and families for harassment and discrimination and to erase depictions of LGBTQ people from schools entirely. Now let me be clear. Participation in same-sex activities is not shameful. However, Bridget Ziegler has done this while simultaneously denigrating our community and working overtime to instill policies that directly marginalize us. That hypocrisy is unacceptable. I've spoken here many times, and I have never once called for Ziegler's resignation. I've always hoped that despite our vast differences, we could find shared values and come together to do what's best for Sarasota students. I was wrong to believe this. The Zieglers have no core values. Their only goal is to chase political power. Bridget and Christian Ziegler have stepped on the backs of marginalized communities across Florida.
A Florida Senate committee supported 3 bills yesterday that would deregulate certain aspects of public education. WMNF's Chris Young reports.
One bill would reduce the impact of tests needed for high schoolers to graduate and third graders to move on. Republican Corey Simon of Tallahassee sponsored the bill.
We're holding back a whole generation of kids that can enter the workforce that have no intention of going into our traditional post-secondary institutions.
Nathan Hoffman is with the Foundation for Florida's Future. He's part of an organization linked to former Governor Jeb Bush. The bill would erase parts of Bush's agenda that had been in place for over 20 years in Florida.
Removing the passage requirement significantly waters down the value of the diploma.
Before the meeting, language that would have ended the state's school recess requirements was removed from Senate Bill 7004 after fierce backlash. The bill received unanimous support from the Senate Fiscal Policy Committee. 2 other bills, which provide financial flexibility to school districts and require the State Board of Education to develop a strategy to address teacher shortages, were also supported unanimously. For WMNF News, I'm Chris Young.
A ballot question to add a right to clean water to the Florida Constitution will not beg going on the ballot next year. But organizers say they will try again for 2026. Joseph Benaja is the chair of the Florida Rights Nature Network. He spoke on WMNF's Tuesday Cafe.
Unfortunately, the state does not permit electronic signatures. So every petition must be a hard copy with what they call a wet signature, blue or black ink. We launched, as I said, back on Earth Day in 2022. We are just now, really at the end of November, suspending our petition gathering efforts. We're not close enough, really, to merit continuing our efforts anymore. But we are, redesigning, retooling a campaign, and we intend to relaunch again in February. So those people who signed petitions over the last 18 months or so, they will have to sign the new petition when it launches again later on in the winter.
That's Joseph Benaja, the chair of the Florida Rights Nature Network, speaking on WMNF's Tuesday Cafe. You can watch this full interview on our website, WMNF.org. For the weather, it is cool and cloudy in the Tampa Bay area. Highs today in the mid-70s, overnight lows in the low 60s. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy with highs in the mid-70s. I'm Josh Holton with the WMNF News headlines on 88.5 FM and the WMNF app.
This is The Scoop, recorded at WMNF Tampa.